This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday, which means we're doing a top 5 list, and following on from the last couple of weeks where I've basically been sharing tips and advice for novice or intermediate guitarists and explaining how I figured stuff out, I thought I'd do more of the same today. So these are my 5 essential tips for novice to intermediate guitarists, beginning with...
learn to play all songs as bar chords.
Yeah, let's assume you've got to the point where you can play bar chords. The best thing you can do to learn the neck and understand the relationships that exist between chords and other musical entities that you will play on the guitar is to learn stuff as bar chords. For example, it is not immediately obvious when you play an A chord, a D chord, and an E chord, that those chords have the same relationship to each other as a G, a C, and a D, or a D, a G, and an A. But the moment you start playing them as bar chords, okay, when you have an A, D, E, you can physically see when you play them as bar chords that those 3 chords have the same relationship to each other as G, C, and D, or D, G, and A, or C, F, and G. This does a number of things. It basically allows you to transpose a song from one key to another very easily. At some point, you're either going to be singing a song that you're playing on the guitar yourself, or you're going to be playing with a singer. And whether or not that singer, whether it's you or the other person, can sing in that key that the original song is in, that you've learned it in, is going to determine whether you can play that song. You will need to transpose things from one key to another, and being able to see the relationships on the neck of the guitar is just an essential part of that. Sometimes you get into the practice room with a band and you've got to do this kind of thing on the fly, and if you just have these templates mapped out along the neck of the guitar that, oh well, if G, C and D is too high for the singer, well, let's just try it F, B flat and C, that kind of thing. You also get to know a little bit about learning the fretboard, which is always a good thing. For instance, if you know that F, B flat and C are all 2 frets below G, C and D, then that enables you to start finding notes on the neck a little bit easier as well. It just starts getting you into that way of thinking about where things are relative to each other, which, as I say, helps you learn the fretboard. So that's a really good one to do. Next,
learn the major-minor relationship.
Yes, the major-minor relationship. Every major chord has a relative minor chord. Every minor chord has a relative major chord, and this relationship is baked into the DNA of all Western music. It's just there, right at its very core. The major-minor chord relationship is also there between pentatonic scales, the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. I know, for example, that an A major pentatonic is the same as an F sharp minor pentatonic, and an A major chord is basically the relative major of the F sharp minor chord. F sharp minor is the relative minor of A major. What does this mean? Well, it enables you to do many things, primarily, as I said, be able to solo in any key using the pentatonic scale. One little, I wouldn't call it a trick question, but it is something I do to just kind of test new students on kind of where their knowledge base is at, is I'll say, okay, play me a B flat major pentatonic. And you can see them kind of going up the string with this finger there to get the B flat note. And I'll say, no, it's B flat minor. Oh, well, how do I play B flat major then? And you know, well, it's the same as G minor. So if you know where G minor pentatonic is, you know where B flat major pentatonic is. It's basically the same scale. And knowing this major relative minor, minor relative major relationship enables you to find pentatonic scales much more easily. It also enables you to know what chords are in a key. So for example, if we're in the key of A, I know I've got these three chords, A, D and E. I've also got there each one of those chords relative minor. So A gives me F sharp minor, D gives me B minor, E gives me C sharp minor. So I now know the chords in the key of A are A, D and E, F sharp minor, B minor and C sharp minor. That's handy if I'm going to be writing something and I want to know what chords are going to fit together, or if I'm figuring something out, if I'm trying to learn a song by ear and I'm not sure what chords are going to be kind of living together in that song, then a good knowledge of what chords occur in the same key as each other is a good starting point. And this major relative minor or minor relative major relationship is a good way into that. So it's a really useful one to learn because it's an important aspect of pretty much all the things you're going to be doing on the guitar. So get it learned. Next.
Pretend you've broken a string.
Yes, pretend you've broken a string. I didn't have to pretend I'd broken a string when I was learning to play the guitar because my guitar would take care of that all by itself. I had a Woolworths Top 20 guitar, which I've mentioned many times. Google it, you'll see what they look like. I think they're also marketed under the, is it Teisco or Tiesco or Teisco brand? You know that brand. And it was essentially a collection of sharp edges held together with a guitar-shaped lump of plywood, and it just used to devour strings. So if there was a lick or a riff or something that I wanted to play that needed this string here, and this string wasn't there, I mean, one that I've often used as an example in the past is, and if those three notes weren't there, then, I couldn't play that lick. Or could I? Because you see, I knew from tuning the guitar that open string was the same as the 5th fret on here. So if those notes that I'm missing are the 5 frets, 3 frets and 0 frets above that open string, then there's the same note as that open string. I can go on. So, and then you start thinking, well, okay, but those notes there are a long way from these notes here. Can I move those notes somewhere closer to these? And again, using that relative tuning method, that knowing that this note here is the same as this note here, because this string is the same as the 5th fret on this string. Basically, I could figure it out and learn that was also, and then like that. It's how I started learning the fretboard. It's how the guitar forced me to find alternative locations for the notes that I needed, because some of them weren't there, because my E string had gone or my B string had gone, or maybe both of them had gone, and I was having to explore the neck. This will be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I couldn't get into town to get a new string or strings until the Saturday. It forced me to explore the neck and learn where stuff repeated itself, and that really does shrink the neck and make it a much less of a vast expanse of unknown locations and entities and whatever. It made everything much more navigable. Is that a word? I just knew where everything was a lot sooner and a lot easier, because I hadn't pretended, I had broken a string. So to simulate that, do it yourself. Pretend you've broken a string and find a familiar lick or phrase or riff elsewhere without using that string that is, that you're pretending isn't there. Next.
Plug in.
Yeah, this is obviously directed towards people who are learning to play electric guitar. Plug in. If you are just playing unplugged, let's pretend I'm unplugged, turn the volume controls down, and let's go for a bit of a kind of grunty sound. If I'm doing a string bend like that, that sounds fine as I'm doing it. But as soon as I plug in, I realise that I'm getting all of those nasty overtones because, you know, I'm not taking care over the bends and so on. And there's so many other things like that. Essentially, an unplugged electric guitar, there will be overtones and stray notes and accidental open strings and all kinds of things like that you just don't notice because you're unplugged, and then you get into habits of playing things in certain ways, and then suddenly when you plug in, you know, what you thought sounded pretty good actually sounds a bit messy. I've seen this so many times with students over the years where they'll, you know, kind of have a go at playing a lick or a riff or a solo or something, and I'll say, okay, now plug in and play that, and suddenly it's just this mess of unwanted stray resonances and open strings. It teaches you how to plugging in teaches you how to get rid of all of that and, you know, learn to use damping and muting techniques to clean the sound up a little bit. And the first step in fixing any problem is noticing that it's there in the first place. And you're not going to notice it unless you are plugged in. So, yeah, not saying every time, you know, feel free to, you know, kind of sit on the sofa in front of the TV, noodling away unplugged. We all do that. But, you know, don't kind of make that the only way you practice, is what I'm saying. Next.
Hang out with other musicians.
Yeah, what's the biggest resource that you can find as a musician? It's other musicians. You know, I started playing the guitar when I was 11 years old, and it was kind of when we'd gone back to school after the long summer break, so it was in September, so I was starting to learn to play the guitar during the autumn and winter months. And on a lunchtime in school, it was, you know, if you wanted to get out of the inevitable kind of biting northeast wind and downpours, then you could go and hang out in various places, you know, in the school buildings. You could go to the library and play chess, or you could go to the music room and hang out with other musicians. And as I was taking my first steps on playing, you know, my first chords like D's and G's and stuff like that, I was 11 years old, and I was hanging out with some of the old men, you know, the 13, 14, 15-year-olds, and they were they were like really advanced guitarists because they could play barre chords and stuff. And just watching them, asking questions, and, you know, just trying to kind of get as much information as I could from them, it definitely helped me. And, you know, then when I was an old man myself, you know, when I was kind of 14, 15, I was starting to go out and play in bands. And I was hanging out with, you know, with musicians who were always better than me and always knew more than me. And again, asking questions, learning. You know, I mean, the number of times I've lied me way into a gig and said, yeah, I can play that, and then got fired after maybe, you know, 2 gigs or something. But I always made sure I tried to learn something from the experience, you know, and try and get some tips and tricks, and, you know, and just tighten things up and expand what I could do. You know, even if you don't know in your locality any musicians, go and seek out a jam night somewhere, an open mic night. They're usually a friendly bunch of people at these things, and, you know, even if you think you're going to be the worst musician there, I'll guarantee that everybody else probably thinks that as well. So, you know, just get up, have a you know, kind of, what do they call it these days? Networking. But make contacts with other musicians and learn from them. If you can't do it in person, do it online. You know, there's I'll just give a little plug here for a fantastic musicians web forum called Songcrafters that I used to go on all the time. I just don't have the time anymore to go on there. But, really friendly bunch of people, lots of advice, lots of, constructive criticism and tips and tricks and everything like that you can pick up that you just wouldn't get if you weren't having that contact with other musicians. It definitely helped me, and it probably will help you as well. So there you go. Those are my 5 tips for intermediate, novice, just slightly kind of beyond beginner level guitarists. All, things that I can say from experience definitely work, and I hope they work for you as well. And that is the video for today, folks. Hope you found it useful and informative, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like while you're at it. Don't forget, as always, the live stream every Friday 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk music and guitars. A fantastic way to kick off the weekend. I would love to see you there if you can make it, but for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.